All right, so I have about 650 miles on this bike. I think 650 or so miles, maybe a little bit over. Let's see, 651 miles on this bike. So, so I just recently did the brake-in oil change. I checked the chain and the chain slack, and it was fine. So all I did was just change the oil and the oil filter, and you can see that in my other video for this bike. So 600 miles, and I'm gonna do a quick review on what I like and what I don't like so far. So this bike, Yamaha says 430 pounds. So pushing it around, it feels about 430 pounds, on your feet pushing it around. But riding, it actually feels pretty light. It doesn't, but whatever geometry it has, dimensions it has, angle, head angle, trail, wheelbase, etc. It rides like it's a lot lighter than it feels. When I'm cornering, it doesn't feel like the front end wants to keep on going straight. It doesn't feel like it has understeer, if you will. I mean, it just leans over. So it's so much different from my last two bigger bikes. And just gives you an idea. My last two bigger bikes, the previous big bike I had before this one was a W650, and the bike before that was a CB600. And both of those bikes were heavier than this bike. The W is about, I would say about 50 pounds heavier than this, and the CB was about maybe 30 pounds or so, 40 pounds heavier than this. And both those bikes, when I take a corner, I can feel that it wants to sort of not want to lean over as well. It's like it wants to stay more straight, more upright, because of its geometry. Or it could be a little bit of that weight too, because the weight does make a difference. But this one feels real light when you're riding it. Surprisingly, doesn't feel heavy at all. Only when you're on your feet pushing it around. At least for me, anyways, because I'm a small guy. So that's handling wise. The suspension, I'm still dialing that in, and I got pretty close, but this is it's not 600 miles is not enough to break in the suspension. It takes about 3,000 miles for the suspension to fully break in, so I have to probably go back and adjust it again. The torque on this bike is fantastic. I mean, right from pretty much idling, and as soon as you engage it just gives you the torque. Power is great. I actually haven't, because of Yamaha's recommendation, I haven't gone past 7,000 RPMs on this bike yet. So once I get up to 1,000 miles, I'll bring it up to redline, and I might come back for a long-term review. Well, this is a short-term review, right? Let's see. So it handles real well, feels real light riding it. Styling's fantastic. It gets a lot of attention, surprisingly. Fit-wise, I'm 5'7", 30-inch inseam. So I'm kind of a small guy, small light guy, 140 pounds or so. And this bike, ergonomically, it's just barely a tad bit large for me, I think. So one of the things I did with it to basically to duck walk it a little bit easier is I actually added the little dog bone link down in here. This is dog bone link to shorten the bottom or the back end about 14 millimeters. And I also dropped the triple clamp down here about the same amount of height. So basically, overall, my bike is about 14 or so millimeters lower, and it still rides fine, handles the same, clearance, ground clearance, everything is fine. I haven't touched peg yet, so everything rides good. So ergonomic wise, I think it's a little bit on the big side for me. I think as far as the reach goes, it feels just a little bit long, maybe like half an inch or so long on the reach. But not too bad, If I'm screwed up basically all the way forward here on the seat, the reach is fine, but I don't necessarily want to crush my balls, right? So I would have preferred to sit inch or two back, and when I do that, it feels a little bit on the long side, reaching to the handlebars, or I have to lean over more than I would like. Other thing about the fit is that, or let's look at since I'm here at the seat is actually surprisingly pretty comfortable. I haven't really felt sore butt yet, but one thing about the ergonomics and the fit is right here at the tank right here. It's actually kind of wide right here. When I sit on it for a while, it actually pushes my my hips out, or my pelvis joint. So let's see if I sit here and if I'm up here. Let's see if I can get a better view this way. So if I'm like this, basically it's not pushing my leg out apart. That's fine. Over at the knee end, it's fine. It's down over here where my my hip bone is, or that hip joint and your pelvis. That's the part that actually spreads out, and it's kind of puts a lot of pressure on that joint. So after, especially being screwed up right up against here, and your my joint being pushed out on both sides, it gets a little sore. That joint actually gets a little sore. So I prefer being another inch or two back, then it feels okay. But when I'm an inch or two back, the reach is a little bit far. So it's a little bit wide here, I think, at least for my pelvis bone anyways. Maybe someone that's a little bigger probably won't have that problem, but for me, I could feel that. Leaning wise, as far as leaning forward and such, reach wise, the angle at how upright your back is, I think it's okay. Even when I'm sitting back a few inches, it's all right. Feels all right. Let's see what else about this. The brakes feel pretty good. I don't think they're fully broken in yet, but they're getting stronger and stronger each time. When the first day I got this and rode it, when you have new brakes, it doesn't really want to stop. It kind of slows you down, but doesn't really bite. So now it's starting to bite more and more and more. So it also takes a while for the brakes to break in too. There are a bunch of times where I actually activated the ABS in the front and in the back as well. Well, actually in the back, I think I only activated maybe twice, but the front I've activated the ABS easily half a dozen times, and it feels fine. You feel a little bit of that ABS chatter a little bit, just really lightly, but it stopped okay. Let's see what else about this bike. After 600 miles or so, 650 miles. I don't know. I mean, it's a fun bike. It's a really fun bike. I haven't hardly ridden my other bike since I got this bike. And my other bike, it's a CB300, and that thing is almost 100 pounds lighter than this bike. It's like about 95 pounds lighter than this bike is. And this bike feels pretty light. But when I jump onto the other my CB, my CB feels like a toy. It doesn't even feel like a bike. It feels like I'm on a bicycle or something like that, because it's so light compared to this. But handling wise, when I take a turn, when I turn in, this one is actually a little bit quicker turning in than the CB300, even though it's almost 100 pounds heavier. And that could be, again, the geometry of the bike, or it could be that the tires are new, whereas my other bike, the tires are not as new, right? But I'm thinking more geometry than anything, but also possibly tires. Let's see what else about this bike. I haven't had any issues at all. Here where your feet is here, where my feet is, when I'm riding and I'm on the bottom of my feet. If I bring my foot back a little bit, sometimes my heel, the bottom of my heel will actually tend to kind of rest on this guard a little bit. I can feel that, but it doesn't really bother me. when I'm riding more aggressively, my back heel is lifted up a little bit, but when I'm more relaxed and when I sort of kind of chill a little bit, and I will kind of rest down, and all of a sudden I can feel that. So so this thing could be, maybe a little bit. Let's see how big that is. It could be positioned slightly angled in this way a little bit maybe, and kind of drop it down maybe another ½ inch or so, and it would be perfect. So potentially I might do something like that. I might just bend this thing in the future, not now, but maybe in the future if it starts to bother me. Right now it doesn't really bother me. Let's see what else about this bike. So the different settings, people talk about the settings. I talked about it on the initial show or review of this bike when I first got it, about the traction control and mode and stuff. So traction control, I just basically leave it on 1. The thing with this is that if you turn it off or on, you basically have to be at a standstill to turn it off and on. And if you turn off the power and you turn back the power back on, the traction control will be on again. So basically you have to turn the traction control off each time you turn the ignition on. So I don't even bother with that. I just leave it on traction control 1, which is the minimal traction control. Traction control 2 is rain mode, right? So on the mode, I usually leave it on standard. B is rain mode. A is more aggressive riding. Standard because sometimes you're in really tight twisties where your speed is only like 25 miles an hour. The A mode is a little bit abrupt for that. Standard mode is great, or when you're going when you're in town where there's a lot of stop lights and stuff. A mode is kind of abrupt. Anytime basically anything below 25 miles an hour is kind of abrupt. And I don't necessarily like that, but above 25, it's fine. But so I usually just leave it on standard. So that's how that is. Let's see, what else about this bike? Tires are cool. I never ridden these tires before. These are the Bridgestone, what they call it? Bridgestone Battle Axe. Bridgestone Battle Axe S20. Right there, S20. And you see I just about right at the edge of my tire here. Right? And that's just me taking it easy. I haven't even ridden this thing aggressively yet. I'm still, I'm taking it easy and breaking it in. But the tire still, it feels fine. It feels good. And you can see it doesn't really have too much, looking at the texture, the smoothness, it didn't get too heated up, right? Usually when the tire gets hotter, you see it more textured. So just taking it easy. Let's see what else about this bike. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. So if you guys have questions, whatever, about more specifics, just put down on the comments below and ask, and I could and I just write something up. Miles per gallon wise, I haven't actually kept track with at the gas station. I just looking at my looking at the gauge here. It tells me let me see, miles per gallon actual on time, miles per gallon average 49.5. So I think they say this thing averages, or Yamaha says it averages something like 44 or something like that, or 45 or whatever. So you can see here that I'm taking it easy. But this, I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, or if this is optimistic. If it's optimistic, then the real mile could be 44, 45. If this is optimistic, but who knows? I don't, I'm not too any about this. I didn't buy this bike for fuel efficiency. I bought this bike for fun, right? For the torque, basically. So yeah, so that's my Yamaha XSR900. Fantastic bike. Love the torque. Looks cool. Gets surprisingly a pretty good amount of attention. I'm not an attention whore. I like to be really low profile. Keep my head down and such. I don't need to you know don't need to I don't need to seek attention from people. But every time I stop somewhere and there's other bikers around, they like they definitely hurdle around this bike just because it has that neo retro look, right? Um, let's see what else about this bike. I think that's about it. So thanks for watching, and I think I'm getting long-winded. This video is getting longer than I want it to be. Should try to keep it in 10 minutes, but I got down to 15 minutes now. All right, thanks for watching.